basically, when coming up with this project, I wanted to do something similar to mandalas. But mandalas are really complicated, right? They're pretty, I don't think they're difficult to do, but I wanted to sort of get the idea of doing the idea behind doing a mandala, which is to repeat patterns again and again. And in this case, we have colors. So you can create your own pattern, whether that's through the colors you use or through the types of pen patterns that you do. So in this case, it's either circles and dots or lines. So it's really up to you where this project takes you. And like I said, like I just mentioned just now, we will be using markers and we'll be using pen, and that's all you need other than a paper. So you can make something that's larger, so much larger circles, or you can stick to something a little bit smaller. If you would like, if you feel like the paper that you're using is a little bit too big, then feel free to actually just fold it in half. If you need to, just fold it in half and work on half of a page. That way it's not so intimidating to start off that way. So just some suggestions. I will probably create perhaps a combination of small ones and large ones. Like I said, this is a meditative activity. So it's something that where if you wanted to tune me out for a little bit, I will not be offended, and put some music on in the background. That is absolutely okay. It's one where once we get started, you guys will get the idea. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and take my colors out. So I have markers here. However, like with most of our projects, you don't have to stick with markers. You can do really any medium you have at your disposal. I would say if you're using crayons or if you're using colored pencil, the pen may not be able to write on top of it. So you'll have to compromise with it a little bit and just work on the paper. But again, still very doable. So I tend to go crazy with colors. If you want to go crazy with colors, that's okay. You do you, no judgment here. I'm going to pick a few, perhaps 5. I would say if you really want a limitation, then pick out 5 colors and see where it goes from there. I generally like to have a mix of cool colors and warm colors. A good way to decide what colors you want to use is to put them all next to each other. And if you like the feel, if you like the way that looks, then keep it. But if not, then just kind of mix and match as you go. I feel like I always go towards the same colors. I kind of want to step away from that. Like I never use lemon yellow. That might be pretty nice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. I'm going to switch this. Yes.
What kind of tips? The fine tips, medium?
Good question. So the ones that I have here are pretty thin. However, if you have the thicker ones, you can use that as well. And I will actually demonstrate how to use both the thin ones and the thicker ones.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. In fact, let me just replace that one with that one. Okay, so I've got a good amount of colors. Again, it can grow or it can shrink. Let me show you the picture again. What we're going to be doing is starting off with one color at a time. We're going to make our rings. And I always like to start in the middle because it gives us a really good starting point. So do that for any of them. One ring at a time is what we're going to do. So right, so if we if we take a look at our marker, I am actually going to try to use the thicker edge. See that? You don't have to start in the middle. If I were to use the thicker edge, I can get a pretty decent sized ring. And I'm calling them rings and not circles. I'm doing that because circle kind of implies that you have to be symmetrical with it, that it's got to be nice and pretty and perfect. But that's not what we're going for. We're just going for rings. Think of rings around a tree. They're going to be thicker in some edges, thinner in other edges. And the only reason I did two at one point is because I want to have enough wiggle room to go in and perhaps do one out here, perhaps do maybe one in the middle. You don't have to go as fast as I'm going. And you can even make one section a little bit thicker than another section if you want to. Everything you do is completely okay. Let's see. Maybe I can switch colors. Perhaps I can go in between a certain color, kind of go at it that way. There's really no right or wrong way to do this. If you perhaps get a little bit frustrated with switching colors back and forth, constantly having to take off marker tops and put them back on, then it is absolutely okay to perhaps go from one ring to another. And I know in the beginning I said that I was going to start with just one ring, and I did start with just one ring, but I remembered how impatient I can get. And it's absolutely okay if you are too. You can just kind of go from ring to ring instead of going from color to color. So here's another example. Again, using the thicker end of the marker. I can even go in and make some areas a little thicker if I wanted to. Perhaps I can go out here, make a larger ring. And what do you know? There happens to be a smaller ring already in the way right there. Well, I say that that is absolutely okay. If you look at this example, I did do some overlap. And that's how you get some nice, what's the word? Overlap, where you might be able to see some of the color underneath it as you go. See that? So if you happen to have a ring in the way, that is okay. Now, here's another thing. If perhaps you see the outer ring and you want to make it a little bit thicker all the way around, you can do that too. Basically, there's no right or wrong way to do any of this process. We're aiming for rings right now in whatever colors make us happier. Now, if you happen to have the thicker markers, then it works the exact same way. So you also have a thicker edge too. However, this edge right here is a lot thicker than that last marker that I made. So it's totally okay to just kind of lift it up a little bit. See that? If I lift it, I can go and use the thinner end, but I can also put it down a little bit. Now that tried to be a ring. I kind of like that though. I can go back and try to even out some of these areas where I lifted. I feel like it makes it look a lot more like a tree ring, so I'm actually going to keep that. I don't want to equalize that. Now, I did overlap this little tiny ring here. I want to make this little guy's presence known a little bit more. Definitely want to bring it back. I can even start on a new one. Since I have purple out already, may as well start on that brand new one right up there. So again, you can either go from color to color or you can go from ring to ring. Make each of these one at a time, little by little. Take your time with them. Overlap things as needed. And then I will revisit how to put the pen in there after a little bit of time has passed. The pen is pretty easy. All it consists of is two different types of patterns. But we do want to make sure that we put our markers in there first. Now here's something that I want to show you guys. I overlapped the yellow with that turquoise color, and it made a really nice green right there. So that's the kind of overlap that we want to see if you decide to overlap it. Because again, you don't have to. So go one at a time. I'll leave this over here just in case anyone wants to see it. Right up there. Are there any questions? All right, very cool. Now, with meditative projects like this, I like to leave some space for some moments of silence. So let's just leave maybe, I don't know, maybe 2-3 minutes of nothing but concentrating on our work. I forgot to say though that if you have a question, please, please, by all means, ask it. All right. So that was a couple minutes of silence. How's everyone doing? Concentrated. I like it.
Doing great.
Good. I like it. Now you guys keep going. Again, like I mentioned earlier, if it helps you to just put on some music in the background and tune me out, that is okay. Now, I just wanted to point out in my own picture, I created a lot of different line weights. And what I mean by that line weight is that some lines are thicker, some lines are much thinner. And I didn't really set out to do that. It's just kind of something that happened as I kept on going and doing these things. And again, that's the idea. Whatever comes to mind or whatever your hand wants to do, there's no right or wrong to any of this. However many colors you do, or how little colors you do, or how, whatever the opposite of that is. Um, do that. I want you guys to just go for it, zone out with it. And actually, I really loved the way some of the colors overlapped each other, and they create much more interesting colors underneath them. Like with, I've got this purple that was created with the blue and the pink. So I want you guys to notice things like that. Notice the things that are coming out in your picture without even trying. Or maybe you're really trying. Notice all the good things no matter what. Now, at some point, I would invite you to just sort of lean away from it for a little bit. Just sort of give some distance between your eyes and the paper. Um, Are there any portions that you'd like to, I don't know, perhaps make a little bit rounder, or perhaps give it another sort of wonkier looking shape? It's completely up to you. You won't be able to do that unless you, like I mentioned, give yourself a little bit of that space. I always recommend that for anything, any kind of artwork that you're doing. Give yourself some space. If you're painting, just sort of step back away from it for a little bit and look at it from a different perspective. Take a picture with your phone if you have that capability. Give yourself that distance. I always recommend that for anything that we do in these classes. So probably in 4 minutes, right at 7:30, I will teach you guys how to do the pen portion. You don't really need to be up to this level. You can continue to do the markers if you so choose to, because like I said, it's completely meditative. I want you guys to be happy with what you're doing. But at 7:30, I will teach you guys how to do the pen patterns. Thank you, Mary. It's very nice of you. Yeah, I hope you're able to join us in the other meetings too. All right, guys. So regardless of where you're at, I'll go ahead and teach you how to do the pen portion. And depending on how you do with pens in general, you may be able to finish it or you may not. And that's okay. That's okay if you don't finish it today. And in fact, what I've been thinking ever since I took us like lifted my head up a little bit and looked at it from afar, I was thinking that I should probably put another ring somewhere over here. And because of that, I'm just going to kind of avoid doing too much with the pen in these areas. The pen, depending on the kind of ink, um, it may, just depending on the ink, it may bleed and it may run a little bit with it. So it just depends on you. So because I know I'm going to add another ring later, I'm just going to kind of not put too much over here. So think about those kinds of things. So let me bring out this one again. Let me give you a peek at this. Now I'm using a fancy pants pen. So this is literally an artist's pen. But if you happen to have like a regular ballpoint pen, that's totally fine as well. So as you can see, I've got some circles and then some more circles and then more circles. You get the picture, right? I also have some lines. You guys can see all these diagonal lines here, diagonal lines there. Some of them are on top of the marker itself. Some of them not on top of the marker. So really whatever instinctually comes to mind for you, that's where you put them. I also went ahead and outlined a lot of my rings, but not all of them. See that? No outline around here, but there is sort of a messy outline around a lot of these rings actually. And that's kind of the charm of this kind of project. They definitely do not have to be
Excuse me, Hannah. Oh,
nice.
okay. It just came back. We'd lost your image for a minute there, but it just came back now.
Oh,
Okay, we're good.
okay. How about now? Do you still have it?
Yeah. Yep, we've got it.
Okay, good. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you. Now you can see some of these lines right here. So first of all, go one at a time and choose a few rings to outline. It may be easier to outline some of the smaller ones. So perhaps go closer to the center, outline whatever's there. And there you go. And then kind of make your way outward as you get more comfortable. So I can outline the center there. And let's see, I guess I can outline this one too, this nice green one. I've got a good amount of overlap with that orange and the green right there. But I'm just gonna kind of ignore that and just outline the green. Again, outline whatever you feel comfortable outlining. Definitely does not have to be anything perfect. In fact, at certain periods, my hand tends to get a little bit unsteady. And that's okay. Just let it happen. Especially as it gets a little bit bigger too. But I feel like that's sort of the charm of this kind of piece of art. And you can see whatever I outline, it really gives it a lot of weight. You see that? Like those portions that I outlined really start to stand out. In fact, I can even outline some of these thinner ones too. That might give the thinner ones a lot more weight than if you would just leave them alone. See that? So take your time with the outlining. You definitely don't need to get through and finish with the pen portion tonight. Like if this is something you want to work on later, you certainly can do that too. Have to really pay attention to these larger rings out here. Take it a little bit at a time. And it's funny because I said I was going to avoid this area. And what do? I forget. Oh, well, let's just go for it. You'll notice the more classes you take, you'll notice that I don't really stick exactly to what I say out loud because half the time I forget it. And sometimes I feel like that's not just MS brain, that might just be my brain too. So I'm going to give you guys a couple more minutes to do that, and then I will show you how to do the circles and the lines. Thanks for joining us, Mary. Good to see you. Bye. Good night. All right, so now that we've had a couple minutes to do some of the rings, I want to show you how I go about doing some of the circles and the lines. So circles, in my opinion, are the easiest part. Here we go. So my solution to creating big circles and not wanting to be perfect, or not even wanting to try being perfect, is just to keep on making lots of lines around our circles. And naturally, as I move into further into the ring, naturally my circles just become smaller. And it's just kind of a scribble at this point. So you can certainly do that. Like I've got this lovely little space right here. Got a big old space for a big circle. And naturally, as I move closer to the edge of the circle, they just become much smaller and they disappear at some point. at a certain point, I don't even want to try to squeeze them all the way around, but you certainly could if that's what you wanted to go for. I recommend doing these circles perhaps wherever you see or wherever you have a ring outlined, kind of like that one. So you may take some time with this portion because you may need more rings to outline. So let's see, I've outlined that. Here's one. Now, here's an example of me going over and overlapping some of my rings. See that? Just went right through that orange ring. Now, why did I do that? Because I can. And it just felt right in the moment. So go for it if that's how you feel. Now, that's how you do the circles. And again, they don't have to be any larger circles. Now, the lines, let me show you this one. They can be a little bit tricky. You can certainly make it harder for yourself like I did. I made longer lines going through this area. So it's a lot more difficult to make longer lines, but you certainly can if you want to. Over here, I do recommend making shorter lines, like that one. Ones that sort of go perpendicular to your ring lines. So I do recommend starting out small. So a good example for me, I suppose, would be right here. Tiny little lines. And I can end these lines wherever I'd like. I probably should have made more rings in the center here. I'll get to that point. Here we go. Here's a good spot. A really good spot for these lines might be in the outer portions of your rings. So I've got some here. Can certainly make some out here. So again, start out small, start out with thin lines. You can have them just sort of stop abruptly if you want to. They can be closer together or farther apart. And as I keep going and going and going, some of them just naturally move outside the line. And it just happens. So let it happen. It's okay. Let's see. I don't think I've done any rings around this one. Again, I have lots of overlap. So this could be really interesting. Honestly, I feel like I made more, like so many rings, and I didn't even think about all the lines that I'd be making in here later. Like whenever I go over this overlapped area, that's going to look pretty cool. Because a lot of these lines are also going to overlap. There we go. I just needed to make another ring so that I can show you some more of these lines. Like I mentioned earlier, with these lines, if you wanted to, you can sort of try and make these much longer lines. I think I tried to make these lines look like they were connecting on the other side. So totally optional, but I'll show you how I did that. So pick a spot, any spot. And instead of going lengthwise, well, going horizontally like this, I would instead start at the edge and go lengthwise like this. I see the end of that ring there, so I'm going to jump over. Again, this is just completely optional. I just wanted to see if I could do it. So Judy brings a really good question. I wonder what kind of pen you're using. Difficult to redo the rings with a pen. Let me see if I can recreate the difficulties you're having. And I'm going to see if maybe using another pen brings about a different feeling. Now, to answer your other question, would it be easier to start the pen and make rings first? That depends. I feel like it might be a little bit difficult to try and keep the same width and the same shape of the rings consistent. But let's see if I can do it. Let's see. If you did that, then I would definitely start small. Start with your circle in the middle. And then in order to make rings, you'd first have to make one circle and then try to match it. So technically this is one ring right here. Then you'd sort of try to go a little bit bigger. Then try to match it again. Now it may be a little bit difficult to match it, but I certainly think you can do it. And if I wanted to, I could even go in here and perhaps make another ring in the middle. I would just have to keep track of my circles like so. Now the real test comes when you try to fill in the rings. For that portion, I recommend just sort of, I guess I could start in the middle. I don't know if your ink would bleed or not. And the only reason I switched to a different pen when I started this one is because I know for a fact that this pen would bleed. It would run through. But if your pen does not, then I absolutely believe you can do it. And in fact, the same idea of imperfectness applies here too. See that? Naturally, my hand wants to move outside of the ring. I feel like it'd be too frustrating to try and stay inside. But if I do allow it to go outside, it does in fact create a very natural, well, it does in fact create a very similar look to what you see here. So I guess, I hope that answers your question, Judy. If you have any other questions, you can type them in too. I hope I answered that. In fact, I am going to use, just so you guys can see it, I'm going to use a pen that I know will bleed. So I want you guys to see it. Judy says, seems more creative with interlapping rings. Yeah, if you find that to be easier, and if that's what works for you, then totally do it. Yeah, more frustrating with the coloring first. Yeah, I say go for it with the pen first. Let's see. Wanted to show you what it looks like using a pen that will definitely bleed. See that? It's not a whole lot. I thought it was gonna run a lot more than it's doing right now. So this isn't too bad. A lot of times, if you can get away with moving in the same direction as your pen, if you're careful enough, you can get away with not too much bleeding. As long as you're moving in the same direction as your pen is moving. That's not too bad. It can be done, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, that could be it too, Judy. I would say meditative artwork like this is something that I gravitate towards personally, just because it during the day, so much cog fog that happens like right in the middle of the day, and something just simple activities like this, at least for me, it helps to ground me a little bit better, and it just helps me refocus a little bit. I probably should practice more what I preach. I did get a chance to take a little bit of a break earlier in the day today to do a little art activity, and that really did help to center me and help me to refocus some more. It was a different activity to this, but it helped a lot. Is there anyone who'd like to share their work? How we feeling?
I'm always willing to be the guinea pig.
Woohoo! I love it. Oh,
So-
Casey, let me pin you. There you go. Oh, you even did little swirlies in there.
Yeah, I'm sitting next to my
Cute.
sewing machine, so I was looking at the different stitches. So I've got some zigzag.
I love it. Oh,
I've got some
yeah,
zigzag and some swirl.
that's funny. Yeah, I recognize the zigzag. I love it. Thank you, Casey. Appreciate that. Merle, there we go. Let me go ahead and pin you. Merly. Oh, I love it. Man, that orange just stands out so much. That is beautiful. Just the way you overlapped your markers together, and just the way you put the lines in the middle, especially in the big one. That's really good. I love it. And I love that you sort of circled everything as if it's its own universe. Reminds me of a universe, galaxy. Cool. Thank you for sharing, Worley. Oh, Marley, we can't hear you. Yeah.
It's very nice. So I'm thinking this could be nice to do with watercolors. So
Mm.
this is can be nice too. So I got an idea. So
Oh, and I see you have a whole art setup back there too. I love it.
oh yeah, because
That's
I
fantastic.
have the glasses.
No, you're totally right. Watercolors would be great for this too.
Yes,
Um,
I was thinking, so maybe I try
yeah, try it.
something different. Yeah.
I'm gonna put my email, and this is for anybody. I'm
Oh,
just saying, for anybody, if anybody would ever like to email me their pictures later, you can certainly do that, and I would absolutely love to see them.
oh, thank you. Yes.
Yeah, I'm putting it in the chat. Um, here we go. I see Marita has to jump off. Thank you so much for joining us today. Hope to see you next week. Oh, she's already gone.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe I'll see her later.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, thank you so much for showing everyone, Merly.
Oh, no, I appreciate your time. So it's something new for me. So I really enjoy. Thank
Oh,
you.
good, perfect.
Okay,
Yay.
so next Monday, so this we have class, right?
Yes, correct. And
Every
that reminds me, I'd like to give you guys a preview of what we'll be doing next week.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Awesome.
have it. I
Thank
hope,
you.
yeah. Casey, I hope this is the right one. I don't remember the dates.
Funny.
Here it is. Is this the right one, Casey? I think it's the right
Oh,
one.
nice.
So this is the same idea that we're using today. And yes, Marianne asked, do we have to register? Yes, yes. Every class there is a new link. Oh yes, Jackie would like to know how to sign up for more. Will you be able to put that in the chat, Chasey or Casey? You're muted. I'm sorry.
I will put the link for next week's in the chat. So that's your
Perfect.
registration link. And every week it's just the same thing except the date changes. So right here you'll see it's https://msfocus.us/MS lowercase art and then the 4-digit date. So next week is March 7th, so it's 0307. The week after that will be 0314. The week after that will be 0321.
Brilliant. I like it.
But if anybody just wants to get on the mailing list, so you get the newsletter every Friday with the links for the next week,
Oh,
you can just email me at casey@msfocus.org and I will tell you where to sign up for the mailing list, and then you'll get a notification about all our programs.
There we go. Awesome, Casey.
And yes, that is next week.
Yeah.
You were
Thank you.
correct.
I was like, I thought this was next week, but I wasn't 100% on that. It's the same idea in that it's supposed to be meditative using very simple lines. And this is what I love to do, okay? I love to create projects that look more difficult than they actually are. The only things that we'll be needing for this one are a pen, and I do highly recommend you only use a pen, not a pencil, a paper, and just something round to trace for the middle, just for the middle. So
okay.
for me, I used a cup. I have like this little water cup that I always have sitting around here, so I just trace it with the rim of a cup. An optional second smaller thing to trace, but you don't really need it. And then I have a little cheat sheet with different patterns that you can use for this one. And I won't reveal it just yet because it's my little cheat sheet, but I'll reveal it next class. I wanted to show you using the exact same types of lines that you see in this project. Earlier today, this is the project that calmed me down and helps me to refocus. Same thing, same kinds of lines, just using them a different way. So like I said, I like to do things that look more complicated than they actually are, because I promise it's not complicated.
Yeah.
So I hope to see you guys next week for that. I'm super excited about it.
Yes, I will.
Yay! You're welcome. You guys
Thank
are the
you.
best. Susan, I see you holding it up, so I'm going to spotlight you. Perfect. Oh, Susan, I love it. There's something about the thicker rings that you make. Like, I love those shapes, and I love the textures that I'm seeing. Oh, we can't hear you, Susan. Oh, no, maybe that was just me not here.
Oh,
there we go.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah. Oh.
Thank you. I love it.
Nice.
And I see you made a little zigzag line too.
Yeah. Exactly.
Super cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Beautiful, you guys. I could not be more proud of you guys. You're welcome, Jackie. Thank you for joining us today. Would anyone else like to share?
I will.
Yay.
What's going on with my?
Oh,
my camera's not-
Can you see it?
oh, there we go. Let me pin you. Here we go. Gotcha. Oh man, look at those colors. That blue, like, combined with the, it looks like a highlighter. Did you use a highlighter marker?
How did that happen?
I did.
Oh,
I
nice.
can't figure out.
Nice. I love that,
My camera
Marianne.
not working.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Whose voice was that? Was that Veronica?
Yes, hi. I'm trying to figure out why all of a sudden my camera's not working.
Oh,
I wanted to show you, but for some reason the camera's off.
huh. Yeah,
And
I
I clicked on it, but it's not, it has an arrow on it. So something's going on.
huh, okay. Well, if you'd like to, take a picture and email me, you certainly can. I'd love to
Okay, I can
see
do
it.
that.
Yeah,
I'm
I'd love
looking
to
at
see it.
why my camera is not working. Mirror by video, touch up appearance. I don't know why that's happening. I've
Huh.
never had that problem before.
Huh.
Yeah, and I got for this class just for some. I got the scented markers, so this my picture smells good too. Get back to childhood. I'm getting back to childhood.
You can sniff your picture anytime anytime you want to.
I love that.
I saw those and I'm like, oh my God, it's like elementary school. So yeah, I had to buy them.
Yeah, I loved those markers. I remember them.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's super cool. I usually just turn to like the Crayola markers, but now that you've reminded me that the scents exist, I might look for those.
Yeah, they smell so good.
Nice. I love it. All right. Would anyone else like to share?
Well, I did already.
All right. Well, again, lovely to see everybody. Lovely to have such a great crowd today. Very cool. Yeah, I hope to see you guys next week for our little half mandala. Again, I love projects like that, so I cannot wait to show it to you. Don't forget to register for that one next week, same time, Monday. You guys have a wonderful night.
Oh, you too.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you for your time.
Good night,
Of
everybody.
course.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm so sorry you can't see me.
Oh,
Next
yeah,
time,
maybe
next time,
next time.
Veronica.
Yeah.
Next time for sure. Y'all have a good evening.